Hey guys, this is the Hawk DLX. It's the $2,000 dual sport motorcycle that we bought and put together from Amazon. And of course, this is a Ford Raptor. And combined, they represent something really unusual. The most expensive truck you can buy, $77,000. All right, most expensive full-size one. And I think the cheapest new dual sport you can buy at $2,000. And in this video, we're going to take this bike off this truck and we're going to do a little bit of a review. We're going to talk about what it's like to not only ride this on the road, but what it's like to ride it in the dirt. And I got to tell you, this is going to be the most unusual review I have ever done. Not just because this bike is, well, affordable, but because it's a little terrifying. Now, if you're like me and you decided not to ride your Enduro to the track, but instead put it in the truck, this truck has two cool features that make that easy. First, of course, is this bed extender, which, allows you to put the bike in straight because this is a pretty standard sized bed. And as you can see, the mighty Hawk does sit back a little bit further than the tailgate. But here's the other cool thing. I don't know if you can tell, but our friends at Soft Topper gave us this, soft top to put on the back of the bed of the truck. It provides a secure and weatherproof top for any bed, but the coolest part about it is that when you're not using it, it folds completely flat like this, allowing you to do things like, load in a mighty Hawk to take to the track. And we're here at IMI Motorsports. You can check them out by clicking on the link below, and this is where we do all of our road and dirt bike testing. And you too can come here and bring your dirt bike, your motocross bike, your road bike, or heck, even your Raptor and drag race it. The other cool feature that this Raptor has, of course, is this built-in step and handle. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, how do you use it? But it actually works. You can still roll the bike down, then have a step. Usually what I do is I kind of have a box or a case I step on, because it's a pretty tall truck. But with this step, I think I may be able to actually get the bike off the truck much easier. Now I could probably do this myself, but why risk it? There's no reason to drop a bike. Let me get down, Alex. There we go. Especially when you have a friend who can do it. I want to say this bike weighs about 250 pounds, which is, enough to cause some damage. And speaking of damage, as you can tell, we've already dropped the bike and we broke this little piece of plastic, which is not unusual. But unfortunately, one of the problems we ran into right away was trying to replace this piece of plastic. And you can buy all the plastic for the Mighty Hawk for about $200 on Amazon. But if you just want to get this one piece, you might have to get a whole new bike. Hey Alex, you think I could even do a burnout in the dirt? You think it's got enough power?
I think you do that.
Let's try it, huh? The brakes on this thing are terrifying. It won't do a burnout, dude. No matter how much throttle I give it, there's no more power. It's like you get 11 horsepower here, it doesn't go any faster. You kind of get up to your top speed, and then you shift it, and then you kind of wait for the next top speed point, and you shift it again. I bet you this thing 0 to 60, well, if it'll even do 60, is probably in the 30-second range. All right, let me address the elephant in the room, and that is this sticker, made in China. Obviously, if you want to get a competitor to this bike from one of the Japanese brands, you're not going to be able to get a brand new 250cc dual sport enduro for $2,000. You're more likely going to pay at least double that, if not more. So, you're dealing with a motorcycle that is, let's be kind and call it established tech. If I weren't being kind, I would call it pretty basic tech. It's one of these motorcycles that probably looks a lot better than it actually rides, and we'll be talking about that in this review. But the one thing I do like about it is that it is a very tall bike. Now keep in mind, I'm 6'2", and I fit very comfortably on this bike. I can flat foot it, but if you're anything less than 6'2", you're probably going to have a hard time with this. It's a big, tall bike in kind of the same way that a lot of the German bikes are kind of big, tall, and actually heavy.
'em. Doesn't stop too well.
No. I think you get like 90% of your brake at like 95% of when you're pulling and pushing on them. That's pretty crazy, dude.
Hey everyone, this is Case from TFL Bike with our Ride Smarter Tip of the Month, brought to you by Rider Justice. We hope you never get into an accident on your bike, but if you do yourself a favor and stay off social media until your claim is settled and you're back to full health. This is even more important if the accident wasn't your fault. Why? Well, you can be sure the insurance company will scour your social media feeds looking for any evidence they can use to lessen your settlement amount, or worse, not pay you at all. One innocent post from you claiming, "I felt great and I took a walk today," could cost you thousands of dollars. To learn more about how to ride smarter with common sense tips anyone can follow, go to riderjustice.com, the champions of biker rights, on the road, in the courtroom, and now across the country.
$250. Now you would assume that would be a 249cc thumper, single cylinder, but it's not. It's actually 229 cc's. Why they put a 250 on there, I don't know, but it is a 229cc single cylinder thumper that doesn't provide a lot of power, but sounds really good. Let me start it up so you can hear it. The other kind of unusual bit of Hawk is the way that you open it. You'll see that there's a little hexagonal shape there and no way to stick your key in that hole, and that's because the key, as you can see, has that little shape on it. So first you have to stick it in here. I can figure out how to stick it in there so it's right. I'm sure this is a deterrent to anybody but a thief, because I'm sure a thief, especially if this is somewhere in Asia, knows how to get around this. There we go. So you twist it, that opens up the little eyelet for the key. Then you place the key in and then put it on. And I gotta say, the best thing about this motorcycle by far is this digital gauge. You'll probably hear a lot of other bikes around here, thumpers, two strokes, but let's see how this guy sounds compared to them. Here we go. Now, we did get the fuel injected model, and that's because we are at a mile above sea level, and it was $2,000 on Amazon. You can save yourself about $250 if you actually want to just get the non-fuel injected model, but because we're here at a relatively high elevation, it's great to have fuel injection so that you can do things like that. That does sound good. I would say that sounds very powerful. The best thing I can say about the suspension is that it works. The rebound is there. It does soak up the bumps, but does it inspire confidence? Do you want to push this thing to its limits, albeit very low? The answer is no. And that's what I mean by being terrifying. You just never completely commit or trust the bike to be pushed at the limits. And I think that's actually a smart thing with the Mighty Hawk. Okay, now like most dual sports, in order for it to be street legal, you of course have to have turn signals, you have to have your mirrors, and of course you have to have a horn. And then you got your brights and your low lights. But unusually, which you don't see on most motorcycles in America, you can actually turn your lights off. Now on the right side, you of course have your throttle, and then you have your run and kill switch, and then this really oddly shaped little button, which is your starter. Now, instrumentation, you have a speedometer. So far we've got a 14.5 miles on this, so it's not even broken in. You also have your fuel gauge. This is a 3.5 gallon tank, I want to say, which for any motorcycle is a lot, but especially for 250cc dual sport is, well, almost touring levels. So what else is cool is, of course, you got your neutral light here, but over here when you put it in gear, it tells you what gear you're in. So we've got a total of, look at that, 5 gears, which is good, except for the fact that this gear selector lever is, well, imprecise would be kind. It's more like trying to find neutral. It says neutral, but look, apparently that neutral, there it goes. Apparently that neutral light is a suggestion more than a reality. So Alex, I wasn't sure if this thing was 60 miles. I've got a long flat stretch here. I'm going to come at you and I'm going to see what the top speed is, okay? So I'm gonna ring this thing out. You guys can see the top speed right there. You think it'll do 60?
I doubt it.
All right, we're gonna find out. All right?
Try and stay alive.
Great, thanks. So, how fast do you think I got up to?
That didn't look like 60. It looked close, probably like 50.
Yeah, I got up to 51. Now, I was in 4th gear. I could have gone to 5th gear, but I don't think that there was enough torque to do any more speed. And the other thing I learned is it almost takes as long to speed up to 50 as it does to slow down from 50. So you better have a long runway. Now, if you look at the Hawk DLX, the Mighty Hawk as I like to call it, from about 10 feet away, you think to yourself, this is some serious bit of kit. I mean, it's got all the bits and pieces that you'd want in a modern dual sport enduro. So it's got inverted forks, it's got dual disc brakes, it's got knobby tires, it's even got enough space for riding 2 up, but it's when you get a little bit closer, let me show you, that things become a little bit, well, more complicated. First and foremost, if you look at the welds on the frame here, that's not exactly, a weld that anybody who's done it professionally would be very proud of. But it gets even worse than that, because for instance, when you look at the exhaust pipe, this is going to get hot, and of course the Mighty Hawk has a thoughtful heat shield, except the heat shield is plastic. I'm wondering how long that's actually going to stay plastic, or is it going to turn into molten plastic? Also, when you get on the bike, it doesn't feel, well, the Germans have this way of building vehicles that when you slam the door, feel like they're made of one piece of granite. This is the exact opposite. Let me show you what I mean. Come over here, for instance, and let's look at the clutch lever, right? I mean, look at that. Look how much play there is. Same thing with this brake lever. In fact, the brakes are, well, I started this review by saying terrifying, and that's probably the best word I could use to describe them. They work maybe in the last 10%, and then you really got to ratchet them. And that's not just the front brake, that's the same thing for the back brake. And perhaps the part of the bike that is the most worrisome is the heart of the bike. It's the powertrain. You got 229 cc's of, well, nothing really. It puts out something like 11 horsepower, and the power band is flat, and that's not a good thing. Basically what you have here is a 250-ish pound motorcycle with the heart of a scooter. And the flat torque band makes it very hard to accelerate quickly, makes it very hard to reach top speed, and makes it just kind of slow and piddly, especially if you're somebody like me who weighs over 225 pounds. Like everything else about this motorcycle, the Yongjing, I hope I'm saying that right, tires that come look like they're, well, serious. I mean, these are big knobbies, which should provide you with a lot of grip and a lot of off-road worthy traction. But it's hard to tell because the motorcycle just doesn't have enough power to really push itself or the tires to where you can actually see how much grip they actually provide. No, I didn't find neutral. All right, to say I have not been kind to this motorcycle is probably an understatement, but you know what? Where it really counts, and that is, am I having fun? The answer is hell yeah! You know, so maybe it's not the fastest or the most nimble or the coolest or, you know, the best performing motorcycle in the world, but can you have as much fun on it as you can with all these other bikes out here? For me, the answer is yes, and you know what? That means a lot. You know, there's a saying in life, you get what you pay for. And at $2,000, there's no doubt that this is an inexpensive bike, especially one that's, you know, brand new out of the box and didn't take more than, what, 5 hours to put together? If you're gonna compare it to the Japanese bikes like the CRF 250 or the Kawasaki KLX 300, you're gonna pay not twice as much, but 3 times as much for those bikes. And if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I'll just buy a used Kawasaki, Yamaha, or Honda for the same price as the Mighty Hawk, you're going to be in for a rude surprise because this year with COVID, used motorcycle prices are not that far from new motorcycle prices. So while this bike does not inspire a lot of confidence, does not have a huge amount of power, or, you know, does not perform nearly at the level of all the other motorcycles here at IMI, for $2,000, if you're looking for just a fun little kind of bike that you can ride to the store and maybe take on a light dirt road, this will do just fine, you know? I mean, let's face it, guys, this has been a really crappy year. We've all really struggled this year, and sometimes getting what you pay for isn't as important as getting a smoking bargain, even if that bargain is what you paid for. As always, this is Roman reporting for TFL Bike. Check out tflbike.com, where Alex, who's behind the camera, is doing much better motorcycle reviews than I am. And of course, check out all of our other channels for honest and independent reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.